In today's Leeds News monthly award nominations, Allardyce aims criticism at Orta, Leeds to change direction after Kinnear, Marathe update on Elland Road, and Everton plan Solomon move. Morning folks, welcome back to The View. Jer here with your news for Thursday morning, the 6th of March. There's a little bit of stuff to get through. There's a lot of backroom stuff going on at Leeds, or I suppose historical backroom stuff at Leeds United as well. Just to give you a quick update, we're 30 subscribers off 60,000 subs, which is nuts to say out loud. So if you're not subscribed and you want to help us get to that number, you can hit the button down below and help us to get over that threshold today. It's mad to even say that, so massive thank you to everyone who supports this channel. It's mind-blowing that we're at that point. But also, just to update, we didn't get the live stream out last night. I had some stuff on. But there will be a guaranteed live preview tonight at 7:30, joined by Ben Locke from Lockie Leeds and Paul from the Leeds Therapy. You can check that out 7:30 tonight on the channel. Let's crack on and get into this because, as I say, there's a lot of stuff to get stuck into today. And we'll start off with the monthly award nominations, which are positive news for Leeds United. Daniel Farke has been nominated for the February Manager of the Month award after a very impressive month for the Leeds United manager. Leeds and Farke won 5 of their 5 league games during the month of February, scoring 18 goals and conceding just 2. Farke is up against Frank Lampard from Coventry, John Machino at Portsmouth, as well as Burnley's Scott Parker. On paper, Farke looks like he should win this, but he is up against Frank Lampard's Coventry and Frank Lampard himself, the EFL's golden boy, so it'll be interesting to see if the results matter in this or if other things are brought into the equation, but we'll have to wait and see. Daniel James has also been nominated for a monthly award, the February Player of the Month award, and James has been one of Leeds' outstanding performers so far this season and is one of the league's highest performers in terms of average rating, assists and output as well. He goes up against Ryan Hardy of Plymouth, Josh Murphy of Portsmouth and Josh Sargent of Norwich City. The best of luck to Daniel James and Daniel Farke. Moving on, let's talk about Sam Allardyce, who has decided to take aim at Victor Orta in his latest conversation about his time at Leeds United. And Sam Allardyce has been given another take on his time managing Leeds United and another reason as to why the club went down, and it wasn't his fault. This time he has taken aim at former Leeds United Director of Football Victor Orta. It's not been a great week for Orta criticism. Orta has already been criticised this week for the negotiation of the contracts that he did that forced loan exit clauses into deals, which ultimately has potentially led to Leeds losing out on money on Rasmus Christensen, having to sell him for less than they bought him initially, although Leeds will pocket an accounting profit of around 6 figures for the player. The clause is being seen as one of the reasons that forced Leeds' hand in this situation. But now Sam Allardyce wants his shot at him as well. Speaking on the No Tippy Tappy podcast, Allardyce blamed Orta for the situation at Leeds United, and despite Orta leaving the club 24 hours before Allardyce's appointment, Allardyce had a clear direction of his opinion, saying the following: "It should have been 12 or 14 games if the director of football would have been big enough to pick an Englishman to come and do the job. They brought in a Spanish manager, Javi Gracia, and eventually turned around to me with 4 games to go, and they did get rid of that director of football." It should be pointed out before Sam retcons his time at Leeds United that Allardyce himself canvassed publicly very heavily for the job at Leeds United and said regularly publicly that he could keep Leeds up even with the 4 games remaining of the season, but now it appears it's someone else's fault. What being an Englishman or Spanish manager has to do with this is an interesting point that he's made, but he's gone out of his way regularly to point this out, and I think it might be more of a case that Sam still has a bee in his bonnet that he's not managing currently in the game and blames foreign coaches for this. The game has moved on, and whether Sam's adapted to it or not is a bigger question on this. But he wasn't done there and had a few opinions on how he could have kept Leeds United in the Premier League, saying the following: "I always think with more games to go I would have kept a Premier League status, but I can't thank enough for the help and support I got from those 4 games. Not only the staff but also the fans. They tried, they were behind us, and I was so disappointed, especially after the Tottenham game. I think playing 6 defenders against Spurs and Manchester City probably didn't help the situation, and conceding goals so quickly in both of those games didn't help Leeds at all. And also, I suppose, the fact that it was probably a low point in Leeds history, even turning to Sam Allardyce at that point, and was very much Leeds swinging for the fences and hoping for any kind of a miracle. But he wasn't done. But because when he left Leeds United, at the time he spoke and he said the 49ers had pretty much offered him any position he wanted at the club, whether that be manager of the director or the director of football role. None of that happened, and Allardyce has changed the story on this one as well slightly, saying the following: why didn't I stay? Well, I wasn't staying at the time because I was thinking about, once the club changed hands, was I going to be left with a case of a new owner coming in and getting rid of me? I'd had that happen in Newcastle, I'd had it happen at Blackburn Rovers, and I really didn't want it to happen again. You see an awful lot of ex-managers and players trying to rewrite and retcon their histories at clubs. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank has been at it again this week as well, trying to retcon his exit from Leeds United when he has said that he was forced out of Leeds. Another version of a story that says he was forced out of Leeds United. But those of us who were around at the time and are old enough to remember this will very much remember Jimmy looking for extortionate wages and essentially forcing a move out of the club to Atletico Madrid. So there's a lot of this going around about people trying to rewrite their history, but the stuff for Sam Allardyce is widely available and easy to find, so you can check that out if you want to. Moving on, let's talk about what's going to happen after Angus Kinnear leaves Leeds United, and it's still unconfirmed, but widely expected that Angus Kinnear will finish with Leeds United in the summer and head off to Everton. And the topic of his replacement has now started to become front of mind for fans and people involved at the club. The CEO role is more of a managing the situation behind the scenes at Leeds United, sourcing commercial opportunities and revenue, and growing the brand globally for Leeds. So we may see something different from the 49ers that we're not used to seeing before. And there's a couple of people have a view on this situation. Leeds currently have declined to comment on the situation surrounding Angus Kinnear and the possible departure, but football finance expert Stefan Borson says that he would not be shocked at all if the 49ers Enterprises brought in an American CEO, saying the following: I think they will be relaxed just because there's been a lot of change of ownership since Kinnear was brought in. In many ways, it could be a mutual decision that now is the right time for the new owners to bring in their own CEO. We know the owners are clearly looking at Rangers. They will have their own view and vision of what management will look like. You've got a good feel they understand the opportunity that they've got, what they've bought, and what they need to tweak. I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to bring in a US CEO. It's an interesting situation because it's a possible positive side to that is a CEO coming in from the States might open up more commercial opportunities and bigger financial commercial opportunities in the US to come into Leeds United, which would obviously help from a sponsorship and partnership perspective, bring more revenue into Leeds, and that word revenue means that would help with the PSR situation, freeing up more cash for Leeds to spend. So it could be an interesting situation. There will be people instantly who are against anything to do with an American coming in any position at the club, and you can't really legislate for that, but there are some potential, I suppose, if nothing else, positives that could happen from that. There's obviously some negatives as well, and they all have to be weighed up. Moving on, let's talk about Elland Road, and Parag Marathe has been speaking again about the Elland Road redevelopment, but he's added some new information to it this time. We know that the first phase of the Elland Road development will be to increase the capacity to 47,000 seats. The second phase then will be looking to bring it on to 53,000 seats, but there are more plans being talked about. The initial proposal was the south stand and the west stand would get some improvements, but he's also added some new pieces to this, saying mostly in the west stand, but then we'll look at the south stand and the north stand too, but we want to do it without compromising seats over the next couple of years. So it's going to be a bit tricky, but that's our goal and we're ploughing forward on all fronts. He went on again to talk about maintaining the atmosphere, and that has become a real central point to everything he has said anytime he has spoken about the Elland Road redevelopment. We'll have to see how that comes out in the wash when actual work starts on that in the summer, should Leeds get promoted. But it's interesting to see that the COP and the south stand are also now being mentioned as part of the redevelopment plans as well, not just the south and west stand. So more to come on that as and when we get it. Let's move on to the final story of today, and this relates to a current Leeds player and a potential transfer, and it's Manor Solomon. And not happy with having one Leeds United winger on their books right now. Everton plan to rival Leeds for the signing of Manor Solomon this summer. The current Leeds United loanee has spoken positively about his time at Leeds United and what he wants to achieve by getting back to the Premier League, and he sees the best route as doing that with Leeds United. But Everton have now decided to play their hand and are said to be confident of getting a deal done in the summer for the player. A report for Give Me Sport today has said that the Blues are planning on making a move to sign the winger from Tottenham Hotspur this summer, with a fee of about £15 million being touted as the offer value. Leeds will have to assess whether they want to get into a bidding war with the new Everton ownership, who are looking to spend heavily during this summer's window, or whether Leeds look at the situation, look at Manor Solomon and think that the price doesn't match the value of the player and maybe move on to other targets or look elsewhere for value in the transfer market. He's been very, very good for Leeds this season, it can't be said. He's had a bit of a barren spell over the last couple of weeks, but he's been very, very positive for Leeds since he's been there. He will be a good signing for the Premier League, but it's whether Leeds want to get into a bidding war with a club who've got a bit of extra cash to throw around next season will be the interesting one to keep an eye on, folks. That'll be it for me today. As I say, we're just close to 60,000 subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed and you watch the channel every day and you fancy doing that, hit the subscribe button if you wanted to help us get over that 60,000 subscriber mark. That would be great. And also back at 7:30 tonight with Paul from the Leeds Therapy and Lockie from Lockie Leeds to preview the weekend's games. I will talk to you then. Have a great rest of your day. See you soon. Bye.